Tri-City Sports Now. I just got, I'm going to now get on this, I'm not going to preach. Guys, if you're smoking, stop. I mean, really. Anyway, so where did this come from? You know where this came from? Just got a message here. Woman I know, is very pretty, but a smoker. Smoked all, the East Tennessee environment. Let's get away from that. Says, it looks like I got to have part of my lung taken out. She's not 30 years old. Okay. I mean, even if you were 100 years old, I mean, your lung taken out, really? I don't know. Ain't worth it, guys. I was, and I'm not going to say that I've never partaken in a cigar or a cigarette in my life. I have used to use, have not used tobacco now. It'll be about 5 years in any way, shape, or form. No, wait a minute. I have not had anything to smoke in 6 and never will again. Just forget about it. Haven't had anything to chew, you will. I mean, I'm a baseball guy, is the culture. But Joe Garagiola got to us, okay? And Bill Tuttle got to us. If you don't know his story, take a look at his pictures and you'll be horrified. I mean, I know it's, it's sort of like, oh, geez, they're exploiting the person. Well, actually, it was late in his life and he said, no, if I can prevent somebody from having this fate, yeah, here's what I look like, guys. It's from chewing tobacco, So, anyway, I know that has nothing to do with sports and may sound a little bit preachy, but my goodness, imagine this. I'm a beautiful woman. I'm less than 30 years old and I'm getting my lung taken out. All because like to partake. There's no more big burly tobacco warehouse in Johnson City. It's a declining effort. I'd love to talk to somebody who's a tobacco farmer, and I don't necessarily want to cast the long knives on that, but I mean, it's just not. It's not a money-making project anymore. I mean, I have driven by the tobacco fields on my way to work. They're not as big as they used to be. I guess the nice thing about East Tennessee is that when it's kind of like, Detroit, the auto companies aren't there anymore. Pittsburgh, dare I say Birmingham? Steel mills aren't quite there anymore. They really aren't there in Pittsburgh. I mean, they've been torn down. They've been redeveloped in many places. And so you think about that. And for us, the industry here, that'd be tobacco farming. I mean, I go passing in places that used to have large fields. They've got, 1 acre that they're growing now and all this. I guess the nice thing about that is that, when you have an old field, the worst thing that's going to happen, I guess, is that, you usually plant some grass or something grows on it again. Muddy field of some sort, maybe, but that's still not as bad of a look as a, crumbling steel mill or something, or what Flint looks like, or what have you. But, all right, Tri-City Sports Now. Just wanted to say that just in between, it shocked me that somebody I knew, and a very beautiful woman actually. I won't embarrass her by giving her name out here, but just take it from me. Not yet 30 years old. Says, it looks like I got to get my lung taken out. It was a good idea to smoke, huh? I hope that gave you a pleasure. 2-year FBI probe into this is going to be shocking to some college basketball fans. You know about the FBI probe. Got to ask Steve Forbes about it when we have him on. In fact, it looks like I'm going to have on Western Carolina's coach tomorrow. We're just working out the details. So ETSU and Western playing on Saturday in the middle of nowhere, otherwise known as Cullowhee, North Carolina. But any of our North Carolina listeners coming in and all that, we're going to have somewhat of a quasi-local figure then from Western Carolina. And Western Carolina has a wonderful athletic history. But you didn't know this. The first ever women's basketball national championship, it was won by Westchester, Gino Ariema's alma mater. You know who they beat? Yeah, Western Carolina. Think about that. All right, you know about the FBI probe into college basketball. It's, already long knives out for a lot of people. ESPN is reporting the ongoing FBI investigation continues to cast a cloud over the sport, and there may be as many as 3 dozen Division I programs, several of which could be upper-tier programs, who could be getting sanctions of some sort. Regardless of what happens with the criminal cases, sources with knowledge of the FBI investigation told ESPN this week the clandestine probe could result in violations from the NCAA for as many as 36 Division I programs based on information included in wiretap conversations with the defendants and financial records, emails, and cell phone records seized from NBA agent Andy Miller. Office was raided. FBI arrested 10 men, including 4 assistant coaches, Chuck Pearson among them, in late September. This does not look good. Now, it's just only a few days after the former AAU program director, Brad Augustine, had his charges dropped against him in a corruption and bribery scandal, and he was alleged to have run the one-family AAU program in Florida, and he accepted money, allegedly, from an undercover FBI agent and involved, allegedly, in a plan to funnel $150,000 to a recruit. Charges were reportedly dismissed, according to ESPN, because evidence showed Augustine never gave the money to the high school player in question. He just kept it to himself. Great guy, huh? It reminds you of the Black Sox scandal, for crying out loud. What can I tell you? 36 programs, maybe, coming in. Who could they be? I don't know. It's one of the reasons why I've always found basketball to be a little scummy. I mean, to be honest with you here. And just look at Isaiah Thomas and Rajon Rondo, the Pelicans, getting into it. It's like they got to fight to compete with the Olympics. For the NBA to, I mean, I probably was not their motivation, but it almost seems that way. What gets it? The monotony of the NBA season, of the basketball season. And you know what then really bothers me about that whole, you know what I'm talking about, that incident? You may have seen it here where the two guys both got ejected. They were going at it. Luke Walton. He's not blaming Thomas or Rondo. Listen to who Luke Walton is actually blaming for this whole affair.
From my standpoint on that, I thought Isaiah did everything he could to not get caught up. They let it just keep going and going and going.
I don't know. I mean, he's blaming the officials. Really? Okay, sure. I don't know what to say. I mean, you want to get into this sort of stuff. It's like, blaming Arthur Donovan Sr. for Fritzy Zip. I'm really making an idea that nobody is going to get, okay? That's back from boxing. You've heard of Art Donovan, the Hall of Fame football player? His father was very famous in a bygone generation of the first half of the 20th century. His father was a very famous boxing referee. I don't know if you knew that or not. He was known as someone that would let the fighters fight. Okay, I mean, the Queens of Marksbury rules, he was not going. So a low blow, something like that, he might have been, okay, just, keep going. Yeah, you want to fight dirty, fine. You can fight dirty, that's okay. He wasn't going to take a point off for a low blow unless, well, I don't know when he would, but he had that reputation. And there were some fighters, one of them named Fritzy Zivik, who before Mike Tyson was kind of known as the dirtiest fighter of all time, would take advantage of. Okay, so that was the sort of thing. But that's like blaming then the fight, I don't, still it was the fight who came in there saying, that they came in there fighting dirty and they blamed the official for fighting dirty when they came in fighting dirty. You try to blame NBA referees because Thomas and Rondo go at it again? How often have you said, boy, they're calling this game too tight? Oh, Rondo and Thomas had a thing going out there, and he's not blaming, say, Walton himself for not sitting Thomas, but saying, oh, it's not my fault, I'm passing the buck. Really? Steve Kerr let the players play and choose their own strategies and such the other day. There was the school shooting and all. Now we have, the only reason I think that the NBA coach even still exists is to be a political commentator, which is now what Steve Kerr is doing instead of coaching.
It doesn't matter that people are being shot at a concert, in a movie theater. It's not enough apparently to move our leadership, our government, the people who are running this country to actually do anything. And that's demoralizing.
I mean, he's an American. He has a right to his opinion. I'm not suggesting he doesn't, and all this. But again, I mean, he's calling on for larger government. He's making a political statement. Okay, it's his right to do so. But when did NBA coaches get away from being coaches and more to political commentators? Steve Kerr on the next Meet the Press. I'll be back for the final half hour of Tri-City Sports Now.
Good Monday morning. Looks like a